Hi, I am Lisa Ann Robinson. I am the blogger behind contentedbylisa.camille.com, which is a blog for women. It is a blog for women who want to live a life that is based on freedom and faith. It's for women who want to make choices that are outside of the box and feel supported in that. Choices that come from the core of their intuition and their relationship with God. I live quite a bit of an unconventional life here in Sydney, Australia. As you can tell, I'm not actually Australian. Well, I am now, but I'm actually from Kingston, Jamaica, and I immigrated here about 6 years ago. And my life has been crazy, topsy-turvy. I've done some incredible things in the last 6 short years, which I share my adventures on my blog. Today, I wanted to reflect on sex and how quickly that happens in the dating world. Because if you've been to my blog, you'll know that I'm celibate, and that's one of the things that I share on my blog. One of my adventures, one of the ways that I've chosen to unplug from the norm and live life according to what I feel is best for me. So in the last video I talked about how I hadn't been on a date in a year. In that year that I had chosen to be celibate, I am still celibate, but it has been 12 months now. And in that 12 months, I never actually went on a date. Like, I had some encounters, but not any actual dates. And I had a first date 2 weeks ago with someone that I met organically at a cafe, and the whole experience really showed me how sex plays a role in dating now, and the kind of levels of boundaries and assertiveness that I need to have, that anyone needs to have if they're considering being celibate or abstaining from sex, and the kind of levels of confidence that are required. So let me tell you a bit about the date. First of all, he's a lovely man. I met him at a cafe. He came up to me, started a conversation, asked for my Facebook, and then he messaged me that night. He was very cute. We joked back and forth, and eventually he asked me if we could hang out. Well, it was a date. So we met a few days later back at that same cafe. We met in the middle of the day, which is very healthy. And if you are on that path of clearing up your sex life and wanting to have more boundaries around your sexual conduct, day dates are a good way to go. So I was happy with a day date, but it ended up being a long date, because we had lunch, we went to another coffee shop, we had a drink at a bar, and then we were just enjoying each other's company, and it at the time it felt natural to continue along just spending time with each other. But he and I must admit, I wasn't quite prepared in myself for the boundaries that I had to set as a celibate woman, because I hadn't dated for a year, I take that back. No excuse. I should have taken responsibility for making sure that I had set my boundaries beforehand, before going on a date, and was very clear with myself around what I would allow to happen and what I would not allow to happen. And I messed up, to be honest. I didn't do that. I was so excited about the fact that I was going on a date, and I didn't think about, well, what if he does this? What if he does that? How am I going to respond here? Where are my limits? Is it okay for me to, for us to kitsch? Is it okay for us to kiss? Is it okay for him to touch me? Where is appropriate for him to touch me? Is it okay for either of us to go to each other's house? I had not done that work in terms of setting my boundaries. And they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road can get you there. And which is exactly what happened to me on this date, because my world just became very blurry. What was I okay with? What was I not okay with? It was a bit of a hot mess. So what happened is that very early in the date, let's say within the first, it was like the first two, it was the first 2 hours, we were walking and he pulled me in and he hugged me, and then I saw that he was trying to kiss me, but I wasn't ready for that yet, but I still wasn't sure, and he did it twice. The first time I resisted and I kind of looked the other way, and then the second time he did it, and he's a big dude, right? He was probably like, I'm 5'3" and he was at least 6'3". He hugged me and then he came in and he kissed me. And I was in this whole, in my head I was going, I'm not sure, am I supposed to be doing this? I'm not, oh, do I want to do this? Like, what? I'm celibate, should I be doing this? And I had all of that confusion. I had all of that confusion happening in my head. And I ended up letting it happen, which I then ended up regretting. And that is caused by not being clear on what your boundaries are. So yeah, I was surprised that it happened that quickly. I wasn't sure what his intentions were, because it just seemed like I wasn't giving any kind of signals around being ready to go there with him, but I allowed it to happen, right? So I take responsibility for that. What happened next was that the day was progressing. It's spring here in Sydney, and the days are warm, but in the evenings it gets quite cool. And I had dressed for the day. I was in a short sleeve shirt, and we had decided that we wanted to continue spending time with each other and go to the beach. But I wasn't dressed for the beach, so I needed to go and get a sweater, which was at my apartment. See where I'm going with this? Why I got myself into a bit of trouble here. So when I said, listen, I'm happy to go to the beach, but I will have to stop by my place and get a sweater in order to do that, because I'm going to be cold. I'm going to be cold just sitting on the beach. You know, it's not going to work for me. I'm from Jamaica. I get cold very easily. And he was really eager to go to my house. He was like, okay, cool, let's get a taxi. I was like, no, we can take the bus. He was like, no, let's get a taxi. I was like, okay. And me and my naive self, I was like, oh, he just really wants to make sure we get to the beach quickly. I was like, I had no idea when I said go back to my place to pick up a sweater, he was thinking something else, right? So we get back to my apartment, and I go and I pick up the sweater, but of course I offer him a glass of water and I show him around a bit, and then he started kissing me again, and then he took my hand and was leading me like seductively into my bedroom, and at that point I went, hold up, this is not happening. I said, listen, we are not having sex. I am not sexually active. I'm actually celibate. Okay, so this is not happening. And he's actually from a different country. English is not his first language, so he actually didn't know what. When I said the word celibate, he actually didn't know what it meant. I had to like get onto Google Translate and translate the word into his own language. And when I said the word in his own language, he was like, "Oh, that's what you mean." But there's another mistake that I made as well, because I did not explain that earlier on in the date. Several mistakes. I allowed him to come back to my place, and I just met him. I allowed the kiss to happen. So there's many things that I did wrong. Well, not wrong, that I can improve on. And as I have more of these experiences, and I as I have more of these experiences and I go on more dates, I realize how important it is for me to be very clear in my boundaries beforehand, and not just because I'm celibate. Definitely, as if you're celibate and sex is not happening at all, no matter what, come hell or high water, these conversations need to happen early, and you need to be very assertive in how you say it. But just generally, as a woman, men assume, there is the assumption that you're gonna have sex if it's the first date, if it's the first night. You know, they are open. They will take whatever little glimpse of a possibility that might be there in the ethers. They will grab it, and so be prepared for that. And what I'm gonna do next time is know what is okay and is not okay for me before I actually go on the date. And I'm gonna next time say that I'm celibate very early on in the conversation, so that he doesn't think that this is where that's heading. So that's one of my most recent dating stories, adventures. Please head to my blog at www.contentedbylisacamille.com for more of my adventures.